We've been talking for weeks about Dr. Marcus Bachmann and whether or not there is so-called reparative therapy going on at his mental health clinic in Minneapolis or Minnesota. And joining us is John Becker, communications director from Truth Wins Out, which fights anti-gay lies and the ex-gay myth. Truthwinsout.org is the website. And John, you've been making national headlines. You went into this clinic armed with at least two cameras. I think it was two, maybe even more cameras, secretly recorded some of these sessions. And tell us, how did this all start? Give us the premise. How did it go?
Sure. Well, Michelle Goldberg from the Daily Beast contacted Wayne Besson, who's the executive director of Truth Wins Out, and had asked us if we knew anything about the Bachman Clinic. She's one of many that had contacted us, but it was really her email that prompted us to dig further into this because Marcus Bachmann's clinic had long been rumored to engage in so-called reparative therapy, which is a scientifically discredited course of therapy that falsely purports to change gay people to straight. And the Bachman Clinic had long been rumored to engage in this therapy, but it was never proven, or independently confirmed, I should say. So Truth Wins Out decided to send me undercover with hidden cameras, posing as somebody who was seeking to change my sexual orientation and to document what happened.
It's brilliant. Now, so I think it's fair to say you're okay saying you're actually married, and so you had to really take on the persona of a very different life altogether. You also don't live in Minnesota, so you fly out there. I mean, how does the whole process work? You call up. What's the premise that you give for why you want to go in there?
Sure. Well, yeah, the question we wanted to answer was, does the Bachman Clinic offer this therapy? So I called up and presented myself as a man who was struggling with homosexuality, with unwanted homosexuality, and had been trying everything in his own life to get rid of the gay, and nothing had worked. So the next step for me was seeking professional help. And the receptionist, when I called, was like, "Oh, sure, that's fine," and referred me to somebody within the practice. So I made my first appointment and then flew out. And you're right, yes, my husband and Michael and I had been married for 5 years, so it was quite the adjustment having to go back and put myself in that mental place. At one point in my life, I had struggled with coming to terms with my sexual orientation, so I was able to tap into those memories, but it was quite the change of perspective that I had to kind of to put on myself in order to go through this. Yeah.
How many of these sessions did you go to?
I had a total of 5 sessions between June 23rd and June 30th. I was a very, very eager patient.
Right. And so do you think you aroused their suspicions in any way? I mean, I can't imagine it's normal in such a short span to go 5 times, is it?
What I was told there was that we could really go because I was a private pay person. I obviously didn't have any insurance that would cover this. So I was a private pay client. So with that, you could really go as often as you wanted. I was told at the outset that the course of treatment that they would expect would be 4 to 6 months. So what I did to try to throw off their suspicion was their system allowed you to book 3 appointments in advance, and every time I would come, I would have two already booked, and then I would book the third, so that way they would think that I was in it for the long haul and was very interested in continuing these appointments to be booked out as they would allow me to.
So tell me about the cameras. I mean, how did you set this up? Where were the cameras? Were you afraid that you would be discovered that you were filming these sessions?
The first session was a little unnerving just because I had never done anything like this before with hidden cameras. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking. Once my background is in music, so I've done a lot of professional and and amateur theater and operas and things like that. So I knew I could act the part. But I was nervous just because of the whole hidden camera aspect of it. I had one pinhole camera planted in a little army surplus messenger bag that I had, and then I had another camera disguised as a wristwatch. So I kind of felt like James Bond or Carmen Sandiego or something. And then I had a third device, which was a portable audio recorder disguised as a USB drive on a keychain, so that way, because both of the cameras had finite battery life, so that way there would be at least an audio record should either of the cameras cut out.
So there's plenty of the video that you've taken available online. I mean, it's just all over YouTube, and it's very easy to find. And in this video, I'm not completely comfortable saying therapist, but the guy
Yeah.
playing the role of a therapist starts talking to you about how God has designed men's eyes to be attracted to the woman's body, including her breasts. There's one point where you say, "Sure, sure," and it's an incredible moment because you are clearly, as we know, you don't really believe that, but you give this guy the sense that you're just completely buying into what he's telling you. How
Sure.
was it hard to keep that up for 5 sessions where you were playing along on this?
It was hard in the sense that, I knew that this was important. We really, really felt that, once we found out that they did indeed offer reparative therapy, it was very important for us to get this information out, because the American public deserves to know that a mainstream presidential candidate, Michelle co-owns this clinic with Marcus. So, a presidential candidate, a viable presidential candidate now, or for at least candidate for the nomination of a major political party, is tied to this extremism. So we thought it was very important to get out. But yeah, it was tough for me. I mean, my husband is the person who makes my life worth living to me. So to omit him from my life, to just kind of erase him from my whole identity was tough for me to do for 5 sessions. It was something that I felt had to be done, but it was certainly difficult.
During the course of this, as you mentioned, it becomes very clear this guy says directly to you, he thinks you can rid yourself of these. Did he call them thoughts, tendencies, instincts? I mean, he basically said he was able to completely cure you, potentially.
Yes. What I was told was that at the very least, we would be able to get my homosexual feelings, urges, attractions, thoughts, all of that down to a manageable level, which, as you probably know from from how you've covered these issues, even Alan Chambers, the president of Exodus International, says he struggles every day against doing what comes naturally to him. So the very least would be that I would be able to get it down to an Alan Chambers level, but at the very most, he said that I would be able to cure, that my homosexuality would be able to be cured completely. He said he's seen it happen. He said he has no doubt that it can happen, and he said with God all things are possible.
So was this guy even a therapist of any kind?
He presented himself as a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I don't know what the licensing procedures are in terms of the state of Minnesota for that, but yeah, that was how he presented himself. His degree is from a university called Argosy University, which I looked into, and apparently is under investigation. It's one of those for-profit universities that's being scrutinized and investigated right now. So there's that twist to it as well.
And is this guy's name public, or is that being kept private?
His name is public. His name is Timothy Wirtzema. It was mentioned in the article that I wrote for Truth Wins Out that the Advocate posted. His bio and information is freely available on the Bachman Clinic website. So yes, as far as I know, this is public information.
Incredible stuff. I mean, it's a fascinating investigation. Do you expect, what's the next step with this? Is there going to be more fallout as a result? I mean, Michelle Bachmann has repeatedly avoided the question, even when asked directly. She says, I'm here because I'm running for president and the debt is very important. So she basically just isn't commenting. What can we expect to happen with this?
Well, you're right. She has become very, very good at dodging questions about this. I'm very happy to see it being asked of her. And actually, the other day, the White House press secretary was asked about, whether or not the administration was aware of and or supported federal funds being directed to clinics, because the Bachman Clinic is a recipient of Medicaid funds, which again is an ironic thing considering how anti-big government Michelle presents herself as. But even the White House press secretary was asked a question about reparative therapy. So we're glad that this is getting out there in the media, and Truth Wins Out plans to continue to pursue Marcus and Michelle Bachmann on the issue of reparative therapy, because it has no basis in research and it destroys people's lives. It really, really damages people. Something that really was interesting to me after this story broke was the number of friends that I had, close friends in my own life, who sent me Facebook messages and said, thank you for helping to get this out there. I was affected. I had to go to reparative therapy when I was a child. People that I was close to that I had no idea that this touched their lives. So this is really, we're glad that this is out there in the media now, and we're going to continue to press the Bachmanns to stop stonewalling and dodging and actually answer the question.
I mean, it's just incredible that there's a presidential candidate who is against these types of funds, period. In other words, she favors a different type of healthcare system altogether. And she is the beneficiary of some of that funding through a type of completely just discredited, quote, therapy that is actually increasing depression and suicide rates among gay individuals. It's just, you couldn't write something like this. I mean, the truth is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely. And it really is important for Michelle Bachmann to answer these questions, because She wants to be the one in charge of healthcare policy for the United States. She wants to be able to make the, appointments to the Surgeon General's office and things like that. Like, this is a very important thing that she needs to answer for. And also, the fact that the clinic that she co-owns offers this type of therapy, to me anyway, suggests that she has a very, very dangerously archaic view of the country's LGBT community.
There's
And
no
that's,
question about that. And I mean, we know that if we look back at her history, for sure.
yeah, and so she really, I feel like she really needs to answer for these views and for her clinics providing this dangerous therapy.
John Becker, Communications Director for Truth Wins Out. Congratulations. And now you are still gay, right? I mean, this didn't work.
No, yes, I'm still gay. I'm still happily married. So yeah, it was completely ineffective in my case as well.
All right. Well, keep up the good work. Great to talk to you.
Thank you, David, so much. I'm a fan of the show. It's a pleasure to be on.